I found it, the pawn shop of souls. Just like the urban legend said. I pawned my ability to love. Every ounce of it, in exchange for a reload. A second chance at life. When I opened my eyes and saw my adopted sister being LED through the front door by mom and dad again, I didn't scream, I didn't lose my mind like in my past life. In this life, my parents' indifference. My brother's disgust, my fiance's betrayal. I didn't give a damn about any of it. But now looking at their tear-stained faces, why? Why the hell are they hugging me and crying so brokenly? Harper, why are you zoning out? The new sister is almost here. Let's go down and welcome her. Hearing that name again, I froze for a second. I hadn't been called Harper in 6 or 7 years. I turned to look at Hunter standing next to me. Sure enough, he was 12 years old again. A scrawny preteen in a fitted suit staring at the staircase. One of his hands was gripping my arm. I stared at the boy's slender, clean fingers, but in my mind, all I could see was the handprint he'd left on my face years later. I frowned and immediately shook him off. Hunter's expression froze. He looked at me confused. Harper. What's wrong with you? The next second, the heavy double doors of the villa slowly pushed open. My parents' voices floated up. Hunter, Harper. Come down quick. We brought your sister home. Hunter's eyes lit up. He immediately abandoned me and sprinted down the stairs alone. I stood at the top of the landing, looking down at the happy family of 4. I reached up and pressed a hand over my heart. It was amazing. It felt numb. Tingly, but that agonizing pain. Like a knife twisting in my chest, gone. Hunter and I used to be twins. For the first 12 years, the Hayes family only had us. 'Cause meant double luck. The elders treated us like gold. Even though Hunter was only older than me by 2 hours. He acted like a real big brother. He let me have everything. He spoiled me until I was a bona fide princess. I remember someone joking with my drunk dad at a gala. With your daughter's temper. It's a good thing she's engaged to Gavin Vance early. Otherwise no one would dare marry her when she grows up. My dad's face went black instantly. My daughter wasn't born to be married off. I can afford to keep her. Mom and Hunter didn't say a word. They just kept piling expensive gifts on me. Spoiling me until I was practically feral. A vintage jade bracelet. Worth 500 grand was the most basic birthday gift I received. Back then it was also the last birthday gift I ever received. That year when I turned 12. One of Dad's old war buddies died of cancer. On his deathbed, he entrusted his only daughter to my father. That girl, Luna Banks, became my sister in name from that day on. My family's love, trust and attention slowly drifted away from me. I admitted I hated her. I was jealous as hell. I was jealous that she could squeeze out 2 fake tears and make the whole family run around like ants on a hot pan. I was jealous that she stole everything I owned. Piece by piece I became paranoid. My temper got explosive. I got weird. Finally, at my 18th birthday party, my debutante ball, I saw her and my fiance, Gavin, making out. I completely snapped. I screamed at my parents. My brother, the love of my life, why? Why are you doing this to me? They just looked at me with identical expressions of disappointment. Do you have any idea what you look like right now, Harper? You're a total psycho. I laughed until I cried. The pain in my heart was so bad my whole body shook. I grabbed a knife, cheap plastic cake knife, and lunged at Luna, but before I could touch her, Hunter kicked me. Thorns tore into my skin. Everyone rushed to protect Luna, cooing at her, begging her not to cry. Nobody gave a damn that I was holding a piece of plastic. Mom and Dad used mental instability as an excuse to lock me in a psych ward. Hunter must have ruptured something inside me with that kick. Coughed up blood, day and night. I begged the doctors to call my parents over and over again. They never picked up, not once. Finally, after another round of electroshock therapy, I stopped breathing, and that's when I saw it. The pawn shop of souls. I traded all my emotions, my ability to love, for a ticket to rebirth. Harper, come here, sweetie. Haven't you been looking forward to your new sister coming? Mom was holding Luna's hand, standing at the door, waving at me with a sickeningly sweet smile. Luna tilted her pale little face up, looking like a fragile doll, and chirped, "Big sister." I didn't react. I turned around and walked back to my room, leaving everyone in the living room staring at each other in awkward silence. Dad sighed helplessly. That child who pissed her off this time? Mom's voice was awkward. Maybe she's just not used to having a little sister yet. It's okay, I'll go comfort her in a bit. Luna's voice trembled with a sob. Mommy, Daddy. Does big sister not like me? Hunter jumped in, desperate to be the hero. No, no. Harper just has a bad temper. But she's not bad at heart. Don't cry, don't be sad, Luna. I'll go yell at her for you later. My parents laughed, relieved. Hunter is so sensible, you have to take good care of your sister, okay? Their laughter floated up the stairs and into my room. Once again, I thought the soundproofing in this villa is absolute trash. I hated it, it was noisy as hell. I stood up and started inventorying my assets. It had been so long I couldn't remember what I owned at 12. Looking at it now, damn. I was filthy rich, no wonder Luna loved stealing my stuff. Even my adult self was a little jealous of my 12-year-old stash. I grabbed the jewelry off the vanity and shoved it all into my school backpack. If I didn't take it now, Luna would come up with some excuse to beg for it later. I picked up that vintage jade bracelet and remembered how Luna smashed it. That was the first time I ever slapped her. The girl with the red eyes hid behind the door like a scared bunny, acting as if I was the one who broke her toy. Sister, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to, I've just never seen stuff like this before. I wanted to look and I dropped it. She started wailing, which summoned Mom, Dad and Hunter. That was the first time I went crazy and hit someone. It was also the first time Dad grounded me. Luna hugged Mom's leg, crying until she almost passed out. But she still managed to look up and stick her tongue out at me. When no one was looking, I pointed at her and shouted. But the next second, Hunter shoved me violently back into my room. Harper, do you have zero empathy? Look how pitiful Luna is, how can you bully her? It's just a bracelet, you have tons of them. What would it hurt to just give it to her? I gritted my teeth, swallowing the lump. Just a bracelet? No. That was the birthday gift Hunter bought me, with the prize money from his first robotics competition. But he forgot starting that year. I never received another birthday present. Even the steady stream of dolls, designer clothes and jewelry that used to flow into my room, they all took a detour to Luna's room. Just because she said, the kids in class make fun of me. They say I look like a mud monkey. She was lying through her teeth. It was Hunter who led the whole class to isolate me on her behalf. He knew. He knew everything, but he didn't defend me. I watched as my parents got more and more disappointed in me, more and more biased toward their poor, tragic adopted daughter. By the time I packed all my valuables, there was a soft knock on the door. Harper, baby. Come out for dinner. Mom was patient, her voice impossibly gentle. I didn't answer. I just opened the door and let her lead me to the dining room. In my usual seat sat a nervous-looking Luna. Dad and Hunter were both piling food onto her plate. I turned to look at Mom. Am I supposed to eat on the floor? Everyone froze. Mom's grip on my hand tightened. What? No. Mommy forgot to have the maid bring an extra chair. Maria, bring a chair for Harper quickly. Luna stood up hesitantly, blinking her big, innocent eyes. Sister, I'm sorry, I didn't know this was your seat. I'll move. Hunter jumped up and pressed her back down, glaring at me with disappointment. Harper, it's the same wherever you sit. Luna just got here, don't scare her. Big deal, sit on my left. I'll sit between you two, okay? Mom and Dad didn't speak, they were watching my reaction. So this is tacit approval. I sneered internally. Honestly, this was childish. The whole family was like a bad soap opera. It made me lose my appetite. I took the chair from the maid and dragged it to the absolute corner of the dining table, as far away from them as possible. Hunter's hand paused in the middle of serving Luna. He looked at me wanting to say something, but stayed shut. We finished the meal in a weird, suffocating silence. When I got up to go back upstairs, Dad stopped me. He looked awkward, clearing his throat before putting on a smile. Harper, Luna is a year younger than you and Hunter. You guys are the older siblings. You need to yield to her. She just lost her biological parents. She's fragile. We're her family now. We need to take care of her. Mom chimed in. Yes. Mommy knows you might not be used to it, but look how cute she is. Just try to get along, you'll get close in no time. They were making eye contact across the table, clearly wanting the other person to drop the bomb. I got impatient, so get to the point. Mom was stunned, she'd never heard me speak so coldly to her dad. Took a sip of tea and forced to laugh. Harper, Luna just transferred here. Her mental state isn't great. We're worried, so how about you and Hunter hold back a year and repeat the 6th grade with Luna? Just to keep her company? As if to make it sound reasonable. He added hastily. Hunter already agreed. We're just waiting on you. I looked at Hunter, he lowered his head. No. The word hung in the air, heavy and absolute. It didn't carry the heat of a tantrum or the whine of a plea, it was just a sound, flat as a heart monitor on a corpse. My father blinked. Excuse me? I said no, I repeated, picking up a napkin to dab the corner of my mouth. I've already read the 6th grade curriculum, it's tedious actually. I was planning to ask the principal to let me test into 8th grade tomorrow. Retaining a year is inefficient. If Luna is stupid, that's her problem. If she's mentally unstable, hire a professional. I am neither a tutor nor a therapist. The silence that followed was different from the one before. It wasn't awkward, it was stunned. Harper. Hunter slammed his fork down. How can you be so selfish? Luna is terrified of a new environment. We're twins, we're supposed to stick together. I looked at him, really looked at him, the boy who would one day kick me until I bled internally, the boy who would hold my hand while leading the class to mock me. We aren't twins, I said, my voice devoid of any inflection. We are siblings born on the same day, and as for sticking together, you seem to have that covered with her. You don't need me. I stood up, pushing the chair back. The scrape of wood against the floor was the only violence in the room. I'm full. Enjoy your family time. I walked away. I expected the pain, the phantom ache of rejection, to hit me. I waited for the tears, the burning in my throat, but there was nothing, just a cool, empty space in my chest where a heart used to be. The pawnshop didn't lie. They took the love, but they took the hurt, too. It was a fair trade. The next 5 years were a study in clinical efficiency. I didn't scream when Luna destroyed my clothes. I simply installed a biometric lock on my door and billed my father for the damages when he refused to pay, claiming I was being petty. I sold the designer bags he had bought me years ago to a consignment shop, paid for the repairs myself, and invested the remainder in tech stocks I knew were about to explode. I stopped engaging. That was the thing about the Hayes family. They thrived on the drama. They needed my jealousy to validate their benevolence toward Luna. They needed me to be the evil sister so Luna could be the tragic heroine and they could be the saints. When I stopped playing the villain, the stage collapsed. At school, the dynamic shifted. Hunter and Luna repeated the 6th grade. I skipped to 8th. By the time they reached high school, I was a junior. Luna tried. Of course she tried so hard. One afternoon, when I was 16, I came home to find Luna sobbing in the living room, holding a shredded watercolor painting. Hunter was pacing, his face red. Harper, get down here. Hunter bellowed. I walked down the stairs, carrying a calculus textbook. Yes? You destroyed Luna's art project. Hunter pointed at the tattered paper. She spent weeks on this. I found it in your trash can. My parents were there, looking at me with that familiar mix of exhaustion and judgment. Harper, Mom sighed, rubbing her temples. Why? Just why? I looked at the painting. It was a mediocre landscape. I looked at Luna, who was burying her face in Hunter's shirt, her shoulders shaking. I haven't been in my room since 7 a.m., I said calmly. I had AP chemistry, then debate club, then I was at the library. Liar! Hunter spat. Who else would do it? You're jealous because Luna won the art prize last week. I didn't blink. Hunter, check the time on the timestamp of the security camera I installed in the hallway 3 months ago. The room went dead silent. Luna's crying hitched. She froze. You installed a camera? Dad asked, his brow furrowing. Inside the house? My things kept going missing. I said I like to protect my assets. Shall we watch the footage together? It connects to my phone. I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. I turned it toward them. On the small screen, grainy but clear, the hallway appeared. The timestamp read 4:15 p.m. The door to my room was locked, but the footage showed Luna walking out of her room, holding her own painting. She looked around, tore it up herself, and then walked to the bathroom, where the communal trash can was, and stuffed it in. Then she sat on the floor and started to wail. I watched their faces. It was fascinating. Dad turned pale. Mom looked like she had swallowed a fly. Hunter stared at the phone, then at the girl in his arms. Luna pulled away, her face flushing a deep, ugly red. I didn't. That's not. I have homework, I said, tucking the phone back into my pocket. Next time you want to frame me, Luna, try to be less derivative. It's boring. I walked back upstairs behind me. The silence was deafening. There was no yelling this time, just the sound of a family realizing that the monster in the house wasn't the one walking up the stairs. The most annoying variable was Gavin Vance. In my past life, I loved him with a desperation that was pathetic. I tailored my personality to fit him. I dressed how he liked. I starved myself to be the wave he seemed to prefer, and he repaid me by sleeping with Luna in the coat check room of the Plaza Hotel. Now, I treated him like a piece of furniture that was slightly in the way. We were still technically engaged, a business arrangement between our grandfathers. Since I had no intention of marrying anyone, I didn't bother breaking it. Yet I was waiting for the stock merger between our companies to finalize when I turned 21. Gavin, however, was confused. He was used to the Harper who clung to his arm, the Harper who sent him 20 texts a day. Now, he got read receipts in silence. You're different, he said one night we were at a charity gala. I was wearing a black velvet dress, not because he liked black, but because it didn't show stains if I spilled wine. I was eating a canapé and reading a financial report on my phone under the table. Puberty, I said without looking up. You ignore me, Gavin said, leaning in. He was handsome, I supposed, classic jawline, expensive cologne to me. He looked like a depreciation of assets. You used to be obsessed with me. I grew up, Gavin, you should try it. He narrowed his eyes. Is this some game? Playing hard to get? Because it's working. I finally looked at him. I searched for any spark of affection, any lingering resentment. Nothing. It was like looking at a stranger. It's not a game, I said quietly. I just don't care about you. There is no hate, there is no love. You simply do not matter to me. He flinched. Indifference is a weapon far sharper than hatred. Hatred implies you still have skin in the game. Indifference means the game is over. Gavin spent the rest of the year trying to win me back. He sent flowers, I gave them to the housekeeper. He bought jewelry, I put it in the safe deposit box. He ignored Luna, who was throwing herself at him with increasing desperation. The irony wasn't lost on me. In my last life, I begged for this. Now, I would have traded it all for a quiet afternoon. By the time my 18th birthday approached, the Hayes household was a pressure cooker. Without me acting as the lightning rod for their dysfunction, they had turned on each other. Dad was drinking more. His business was stagnating because he was too distracted by family matters. Mom was neurotic, obsessed with maintaining the image of a perfect family, but Luna was making it hard. Luna had realized that her innocent victim act didn't work on me anymore because I didn't react, so she escalated. She started acting out against Hunter. She became demanding, possessive. Hunter looked tired. He was 18 now, but he looked older. The shine of being the protector had worn off. Dealing with Luna wasn't a heroic duty anymore, it was a chore. One night, a week before the birthday ball, Hunter knocked on my door. What? I asked, not looking up from my laptop. He came in and sat on the edge of my bed. He looked around my room. It was sparse. No posters, no clutter, just books and equipment. Do you remember when we were kids? He asked softly. We used to have a secret language. I remember you leading the football team to write psycho on my locker in freshman year of the last timeline, I thought. I remember, I said aloud. I feel like I lost you, he said, his voice cracking. Harper, why are you so cold? I miss my sister. You have a sister, I said. She's down the hall, probably crying because the chef put parsley on her pasta. Hunter put his head in his hands. I know, God, I know she's a lot, but I promised Dad, I promised I'd take care of her. That's your contract, not mine. He looked up at me, eyes searching. Did we do this? Did we make you like this? It was the closest he would ever get to an apology. It doesn't matter, Hunter, I said, closing my laptop. People change. I just changed faster. He left. I felt a twinge of something, maybe muscle memory, but I breathed in, and the pawnshop's emptiness settled over me like a warm blanket. The night of the ball was identical to my memories. The same heavy chandeliers, the same smell of expensive lilies and desperation. This was the night I was supposed to die, or rather, the night I was supposed to go crazy, get committed, and eventually die. Luna was wearing a white dress. Naturally I wore red, not because it was aggressive, but because I liked the color. The script began. Gavin was drinking by the bar. Luna was hovering near him, whispering, touching his arm. My parents were circulating, smiling their brittle smiles. In the old life, this is where I would have stormed over, screamed, and grabbed the cake knife. Instead, I walked up to the microphone on the stage. The room quieted down. They expected a speech thanking my parents. Good evening, I said. My voice was steady, amplified through the hall. Thank you all for coming. 18 is a milestone. It marks the legal transition into adulthood. It means independence. I gestured to the screen behind me. For the last 6 years, I have been documenting the finances of the Hayes Trust, of which I am a beneficiary. A spreadsheet appeared on the massive screen. The crowd murmured. Dad dropped his glass. As you can see, I continued, using a laser pointer, since the adoption of Luna Banks, approximately $4 million of company funds have been siphoned into personal accounts labeled medical expenses and therapy, though no medical records exist to support these claims. Furthermore, my brother, Hunter Hayes, has used his tuition fund to pay off hush money to 3 separate private schools to keep Luna's bullying incidents off her permanent record. Harper! Dad screamed, rushing the stage. Cut the mic. Cut it! I didn't flinch. I have already forwarded these documents to the board of directors and the IRS as of this morning. I have emancipated myself and liquidated my portion of the trust, which was legally mine upon my 18th birthday. Gavin was staring at me, mouth open. Luna looked like she was about to vomit. Hunter was just standing there, frozen, looking at the evidence of his own enabling projected 10 feet high. I am leaving, I said. You can keep the house, you can keep the drama, and you can certainly keep each other. You deserve one another. I dropped the microphone. It hit the floor with a thud that echoed like a gunshot. I walked off the stage. My father tried to grab me, his face purple with rage. You ungrateful little bitch. After everything we did. I sidestepped him effortlessly. You did nothing, I said calmly, and that was the problem. I walked through the crowd. People parted like the Red Sea. I saw Gavin stepping forward, reaching out. Harper, wait. Let me come with you. I didn't even slow down. No thanks, Gavin. I don't date investments with diminishing returns. I walked out the double doors, down the steps where Hunter had once abandoned me, and into the cool night air. I waited for the satisfaction, the rush of victory. It didn't come. I felt light, unburdened, but not happy. Happiness requires a heart, and I had pawned mine. 5 years later. I was living in a penthouse in Singapore. The skyline was neon and chrome, cold and beautiful. My tech startup had gone public, making me a billionaire in my own right. I rarely thought about the Hayes family. I heard rumors, of course. The IRS audit had destroyed my father's business. They lost the villa. They moved to a small apartment in the suburbs. The stress caused my parents to divorce. Luna eventually got pregnant by some bartender and left the baby with mom to raise. She spiraled into addiction, perpetually playing the victim, but with no audience left to pay for the tickets. Hunter, that was the only one that was mildly interesting. He wrote me a letter once. Harper. I'm working construction now. It's hard work, but honest, I finally moved out. I don't talk to Luna anymore. I don't talk to mom or dad. I think about that day on the stairs when we were 12. I let go of your arm. I think that was the moment my life went wrong. I'm sorry I let go. I know you don't care. I know you can't care, but I wanted to say it. Hunter. I read the letter. I burned it in the sink. I poured myself a glass of water and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. The reflection in the glass showed a beautiful woman, perfect skin, expensive silk robe, eyes that held the secrets of the universe, and the warmth of a glacier. I had won. I had survived. I had crushed those who hurt me without lifting a finger in violence. Suddenly, the room seemed to flicker. A man stood in the corner. He wore an old-fashioned suit and a fedora. The pawnshop owner. Satisfied? He asked. His voice sounded like dry leaves skittering on pavement. The contract is fulfilled, I said. I got my second chance. You did, he nodded. You used it well. Most people waste the reload trying to fix the love they lost. You just excised it. Love was the inefficiency, I said. True, he smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. But tell me, Harper, now that you are safe, now that you are rich, now that you are untouchable, what do you taste when you eat? I looked at the glass of water. And when you look at the sunset? Refracted light. And when you are alone in the dark? Silence. The pawnshop owner tipped his hat. A fair trade. Then the pain is gone, but so is the music. He faded away. I turned back to the window below me. Millions of people were laughing, crying, fighting, kissing, breaking apart and coming together, a messy, chaotic, painful web of humanity. I placed my hand on the glass. I felt nothing. And for the first time in 2 lifetimes, I understood the tragedy wasn't dying. The tragedy was living forever in a room where the temperature never changed. I took a sip of water. It was cool. It was sufficient. Worth it, I whispered to the empty room. And I went back to work.